What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. Week 6 is concluded. We already kind of know where some teams are. What team has moved up? What team has moved down heading into week 7? It's time to get our power rankings for this week. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Today's video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. For me, it is very important to have a VPN to protect my online privacy. It'd be very, very creepy if there was someone out there who kept a log of every single thing that you did online. So why let your internet provider really do that to you online? The best thing to do is to get yourself a VPN, and why not go with the ExpressVPN, the best VPN available. Personally, I like it for the fact that you can unlock Netflix shows that you do not get in the US market. Now, one show that I've started to get myself into is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You search Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the US, doesn't come up, but you can switch your location to Canada, and you can research Brooklyn Nine-Nine again, and bam, it pops up right then and there, and you can catch up on your episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Now, if you click the link in the description below, you will get 3 free months of ExpressVPN. Just by clicking the link below and you sign up today, you will get 3 months free of ExpressVPN. All you have to do is click the link down below, and you will get ExpressVPN. Now, let's just get back to the video. These are my rankings for last week. You can take a screenshot, whatever you want to do. These are the rankings for last week. Let's get into what they are this week. All right, we're going to start off with the 2 teams that had a bye. I had the Packers and the Steelers, both at B, and they're going to stay there. You know why? Because they didn't play any football games, so I'm going to keep them at a B. Next, they're going to have the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to have them at a D. I just don't think this is a very good football team to begin with. They play hard. They do things the right way. They're going to be coming at some point. Not right now. Just not right now. Next, the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to drop them to a C. An offense that has some struggles against the Washington Commanders. A defense that has some struggles as well. And I had a little bit of higher expectations for this week for the Falcons coming into this game, and they just didn't live up to it. And then a red zone interception by Ritter didn't help. So I'm going to drop them to a C. Next up, we're going to have the Baltimore Ravens. I've had them in a B. I'm going to move them up to an A. They showed a lot against the Tennessee Titans team, who's not a bad team, even though I still think they need to be in rebuild mode, but that's neither here nor there. Lamar played well. I would like to see a little bit more for the passing game for the Ravens. The run game was successful against the Titans. I just like to see more as far as them throwing the football, but I'm going to have them in an A. Next, we're going to have the Buffalo Bills. Close win, but I'm still going to have them as one of the best teams in football. Very good defensively. Offensively, they had their struggles against the Giants team that offensively hasn't been good all year. Saquon Barkley being back for them helped. And this Buffalo Bills defense played well. It's just offensively, they didn't live up. They just didn't play well at all. And I'm going to have them in an S tier still. But it wasn't a good showing despite a win. Next is the Carolina Panthers. Still a winless team. Still a winless football team. When you don't win any games, even though I'm starting to see some progression from Bryce Young, but still a very young football team. Still not very good. Bears, well, I don't even want to get into it. Got a lot of stuff going on with the Bears. I'll leave my reaction up there in the cars. Let's move on from now. Next, we're going to have the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm have them at a B. I think they're finally starting to get some rhythm together. I'm going to move them to an A. I think Joe Burrow is finally starting to get the win. Kind of get some things underneath his feet. I think he's starting to look healthy. The defense is playing better. And I think they're really starting to finally bounce back and get some rhythm. And I'm going to have them at an A. Next, we're going to have the Cleveland Browns. I'm also going to move the Browns up to an A. And it is not because It's not only just because, they beat the 49ers. They beat the Niners without P.J. Walker. And on top of that, that defense is something special. Jim Schwartz might be the best offseason hire out of any football team. He has that defense living up to expectations to what I thought they could be last year. Now, I think they're above those expectations. That is a very good defense that they have in Cleveland. Next is the Dallas Cowboys. I'm keeping the Cowboys in the A. I can't put them at an S. I'm keeping them at an A. They won a game that was a very close game. I think without some mistakes, it might have been a little further, but the Cowboys got the much-needed win. I think it was a must-win game for them, and they really had some success as far as offensively. They played a lot better. Defensively, they were all over the field, so I'm going to have them at an A. Next is the Denver Broncos. This football team is a head-scratcher. I mean, I think it might be time to pull the plug on that team. I think it is. It's time to pull the plug on that team. Let's just be honest. Detroit Lions, S. They are a very good football team, and I love what Dan Campbell has done with the culture of this football team. I love what they have offensively with St. Brown, Jamison Williams coming back, Hawkinson, and Montgomery is going to be hurt for a few weeks, so that's going to hurt them. They have a very good offensive line, and their defense has been playing a lot better than what they expected. I personally expected of them. Aiden Hutchinson is the DPOY candidate. That's all I'm going to say. That is a very good football team. The Texans, I'm going to put the Texans at a B. My boy, C.J. Stroud from The Ohio State, has been playing some really good quarterback for him. And even despite the interception, he still bounces back and lead this Texas team to a win. And I'll give credit to DeMeco Ryans. He has this defense playing really good. Really solid football team. And I'm going to put them at a B. C.J. Stroud is the guy. And I love to see it personally. Yes, I'm being biased. Next, Indianapolis Colts. I had them at a C. And this is a tough team to gauge, but I think I'm going to keep them there. Gardner Minshew did not play bad. That defense, oh boy, that did not look good on the defensive side of the ball for the Colts against the Jags. It's not a good. I don't think this is a very. I'm not gonna say good football team. It's just not there. They have pieces. It's just not putting it together. They're not. Next is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I had them in the A. I'm gonna keep them there. I'm still a believer in this football team. Now it's interesting to see what's gonna happen with Trevor Lawrence's knee injury. But their defense has been playing solid. Offensively, they have been kind of stepping it up the last couple of weeks. I'm going to put them at an A tier. Next, the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it didn't look great against the Denver Broncos, even though the score of that game was a lot closer than the game actually was. But, I mean, it's the Chiefs. Just Patrick Mahomes, you can't count them out, point blank, period. Next is the I almost said San Diego. Las Vegas. I said Vegas again. Lord Jesus. LA Chargers. I'm dropping them to a C. This football team is way, way, way too inconsistent. Way too inconsistent for my taste. It's like, what week are you going to get out of them? I still think Brandon Staley is on the hot seat with all the pieces that they have. To them to be pretty much a mediocre to average football team at best. It's just so inconsistent for me. Next is the LA Rams. I had them at a C. I'm going to move them up to a B. This football team has been playing a lot better than what I expected. Stafford, the Cup, and the Nakua. And that defense is playing a lot better despite the pieces being gone over the last couple of years. This has been a very solid football team. And shout out to Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator. He got those boys playing some solid football. Next is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. I think I'm going to keep the Raiders. They get back-to-back wins. I think I'm going to put the Raiders, I'm going to keep them at a C. Now, one thing, they haven't been able to run the football very well defensively outside of the front. I still don't believe in that secondary, but only so much. And it's interesting to see what's going to happen with the Jimmy G injury. But this football team is kind of like the Chargers, inconsistent. Next is the Miami Dolphins. one of the more explosive offenses, if not the most explosive offense in football. They had a little bit of a struggle against Carolina, but they put it all together. Tua is a front runner for MVP at this point, and if it's non-quarterback, Tyreek Hill's in that discussion as well as far as MVP candidacy goes. Minnesota Vikings, I've had them in the D. I mean, they beat the Bears, and beating the Bears is not much of an accomplishment. Even without Justin Jefferson, they still had some success offensively. Defensively, they were able to get out the fields. They were able to put some pressure on, create some turnovers. Fields and Badgett. I'm going to put the Minnesota Vikings, I'm going to move them up to a C. Patriots, I'm going to have them in a D. They are one of the worst teams in football, and they are a very hard football team to watch. Offensively, they just cannot gain any rhythm. Defensively, it still leaves a little bit to be desired, even though their unit has been an okay unit, but D. Next is the New Orleans Saints. I had them in a B. This is tough. I am going to drop them to a C. They are a very inconsistent football team as well. Derek Carr has up and down moments for them. Their defense did not play the absolute best up to their capability. Their secondary did not play necessarily extremely well against the Texans. And offensively, I think they need a little bit more. Just something is missing offensively. Next is the New York Giants. I had them in a D. I'm still going to keep them there despite the fact that this football team being competitive against the Bills without Daniel Jones, who I still think is it. Tyrod Taylor and Saquon Barkley being back healthy help. I think, honestly, with Tyrod Taylor, looked a little bit different offensively for me. Maybe that's just me. Next is the New York Jets. I'm going to move them up to a B from a C where I had them last week. Defensively, I like what this football team is. Offensively, Zach Wilson is kind of becoming a game manager, and that is fine when you have a defense like you have at the Jets. And they were able to kind of beat up the Eagles a little bit without Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. So that defense is stout. It's just, I think the offense is starting to finally catch up a little bit to where the defense is. Now, I don't think it's going to be at that level, of course, but as long as they can control the clock, game manage, I think this will be a good football team. Next is the Philadelphia Eagles. Despite the loss, I'm going to have them at the S tier, but I saw a loss from them coming at some point. I just don't think this Eagles team has played the absolute best football. I think they're still getting little things adjusted offensively with new offensive coordinator. So I just believe at this point, the Eagles defense, it is a solid defense. Offensively, I think once they find their rhythm and once they run their football successfully, I think they will be just fine. Next is the Seattle Seahawks with the loss to the Bengals. I'm going to have the Seahawks at a B. Now, they didn't look bad. They didn't look great either. But it was, at this point, the Seattle Seahawks, to me, are kind of an average football team. It's not bad. It's not great. But I think they're an average football team. Next is the San Francisco 49ers. I'm still going to have them at an S despite the loss to the Browns. And despite some of the things that didn't go right, they were getting dominated on the trenches. They were still close and a field goal away from pulling their game off. And that offense did not look good at all against Cleveland. Now, they did have some injuries to Williams, to Debo, to McCaffrey. But Brock Purdy, I hate when all this talk of him being elite. I'm not the one that's going to buy into the Brock Purdy elite talk. Is he more of a system quarterback? I think so, in my opinion. But he runs the system very well. So I'm not going to knock him. But I don't think at this point of his career or at this point of his playing time, he's not that elite quarterback yet. And that's fine. I just hate when people call him elite. You haven't seen it long enough. But I still think they're the most complete team in football. Next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to drop the Buccaneers to a B. Offensively, they did not look great at all against the Lions. Defensively, they had some moments, but the Lions were able to take advantage of some of the woes in their defense. So I'm going to have them at a B. Baker didn't play necessarily great, and they dropped a lot of footballs too. So I'm going to have the Buccaneers at a B. Next is the Tennessee Titans. This one's a little bit tough because they had a solid showing, but I'm going to keep them where they were at a C. I still think this football team needs to rebuild. I still think somebody else should be the quarterback other than Tannehill, despite them being close. And that defense it played okay against Baltimore, but somebody else needs to be the quarterback. That's just me. Last but not least, the Washington Commanders, I had them in a C. I'm going to move them up to a B because they are no more than the average football team still. They got after the Atlanta Falcons and Desmond Ridder, and I think this football team, offensively, I think running the football is their identity. Sam Howell hasn't been a bad quarterback. He hasn't been that great one either, but that's fine. Still in the second year, still got some development to do. That's fine. I still think this is an average football team, and they need to find a way to get Terry McLaurin from the Ohio State involved more. But, hey, these are my rankings for this week. Leave you guys' thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.